What do an English flutist, a drummer who quotes Ian Rand, and a man who once dressed as a flower have in common? Well, they all wrote lyrics that turned rock into philosophy, poetry, and pure madness. This is a story of 12 of the greatest lyricists in progressive rock. Now, progressive rock is usually remembered for its music. You know, the 20-minute epics, the labyrinthine time signatures, the keyboards that sound like they're from another planet. But behind all that technical wizardry were words that built real, entire universes. Now, in Prog, the lyrics weren't the filler between solos, they were the architecture. They were full of mythology, madness, and meaning. So today, I'm celebrating the 12 greatest lyricists in progressive rock. The dreamers, philosophers, and storytellers who proved that prog could be as literate as it was loud. Now, Peter Gabriel was the lyricist who just didn't sing, he performed the words. In his early Genesis days, he turned songs into surreal one-act plays. The musical box is a Victorian ghost story. Suffer's Ready, an apocalyptic odyssey where angels and devils battle it out in 9/8 time. His words were rich in metaphor and absurdity, sometimes funny, often profound. And also as a solo artist, Gabriel's lyrics shifted from mythical to psychological. Family Snapshot, for example, explored the mind of an assassin. Don't Give Up became a hymn for empathy. Gabriel proved that even in a fox mask, you could write from the heart. Now, if Gabriel built dream worlds, Roger Waters built nightmares. Through Pink Floyd, he became rock's greatest chronicler of alienation, war, greed, and madness. The Wall isn't just an album, it's a psychological opera. Animals is George Orwell set to electric guitars. Waters' lyrics cut deep because they were so personal. His fury was deep-rooted in loss of his father, of his innocence, and of connection. No one captured the dark side of modern life quite like Roger Waters. He didn't just describe society, he diagnosed it. Now, if Prog had a court jester, then it was Jon Anderson of Jethro Tull. He wrote with biting humour, rural poetry, and a sharp distrust of institutions. Take a look at Aqualung. This is really skewered about religious hypocrisy. Thick as a Brick, this parodied concept albums and accidentally became one of the best ever made. Anderson's lyrics were clever. They were ironic and unmistakably English, turning flutes and folk tales into biting social commentary. He didn't just play the flute, he positively weaponized it. Another Anderson now, and this time it's Jon Anderson's, and his lyrics and yes are often really incomprehensible, but they're always inspiring. His words are like abstract paintings. You don't analyse them, you just feel them. With Close to the Edge and Awaken, he turned spiritual awakening into sounds. He wrote not with logic, but with light, seeking transcendence through syllables. He wasn't telling stories, he was channeling the universe. Now, if Prog had a philosopher in residence, it was Peter Hamill. He had lyrics that were fierce, were literary, and existential. Meditations on identity, morality, and madness. In that marvellous track, a plague of lighthouse keepers, Hamill delivered a 23-minute internal meltdown that really feels as harrowing today as ever. He was perhaps less a lyricist, but more a playwright of the human psyche. He didn't write songs for comfort. He wrote them to really interrogate the soul. Now, fast forward to the 1980s. Prog has gone out of fashion, but Marillion's frontman, Fish, really brings it roaring back with words soaked in poetry and pain. In Script for a Jester's Tear, for example, and also in Misplaced Childhood, Fish wrote about addiction, heartbreak, and the toll of fame. His lyrics were confessional but grand, really like reading through someone's diary through a stained glass window. Fish took the emotional intensity of Hamill and the narrative sweep of Waters and gave the 80s a prog poet of its own. Few drummers wrote lyrics, but none did it like Neil Peart of Rush. His words blended sci-fi, philosophy, and raw humanity. In the track 2112, he imagines a dystopia of conformity. In Subdivisions, he captures suburban loneliness and heartbreaking precision. Peart's early lyrics celebrated individualism. Later on, they embraced compassion, grief, and wisdom. He grew alongside his audience. Now, this man behind the drums also gave prog one of its sharpest minds. Now, David Bowie wasn't purely prog, but in the early 1970s, he really did inhabit the same universe. His characters from Ziggy Stardust to the Thin White Duke, these were as conceptual, really, as any prog epic. In the song The Man Who Sold the World, and also Moon Age Daydream, his lyrics blurred gender, identity, and space-age mythology. Bowie just didn't write about outsiders. He actually became one, and in doing so, made the personal cosmic. Now, amid all the complexity, Greg Lake brought simplicity to his writing, but also some beauty. His lyrics in Epitaph and From the Beginning are as graceful, melancholic, and human as you could possibly imagine. Lake wrote about love, loss, and longing, with the same conviction others really reserve for mythology. He was the heart of prog's grand machinery, reminding that even in 13/8 time, emotion still comes first. Stephen Wilson inherited prog's legacy and updated it for the digital age. Through Porcupine Tree and his solo work, he explored isolation, technology, and memory. In Fear of a Blank Planet and Hand Cannot Erase, his lyrics read like short films. They were painfully human, deeply cinematic. He's Roger Waters for the broadband generation, melancholic, meticulous, and really utterly modern. Now, few lyricists, in or out of prog, have the imagination like Kate Bush. Her songs are miniature novels, Wuthering Heights, Cloudbusting, The Ninth Wave. She writes about love, about death, literature, and female perspective with theatrical flair and poetic sensitivity. Kate doesn't just write lyrics. She actually conjures worlds with them. Last up this time, Roy Harper. He was never a chart topper, but his influence really runs very deep indeed. His lyrics, political, romantic, defiant, inspire the likes of Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin alike. In The Same Old Rock and Me and My Woman, Harper wrote with passion and principle, combining folk honesty with prog's ambition. He was the conscience of a genre, the poet who never really sold out. Now, progressive rock has always been about pushing limits. Musically, yes, but also lyrically. These 12 writers I've run through, they didn't just fill space between solos, they built cathedrals of meaning. Gabriel gave us a myth. Waters gave us fury. Jon Anderson gave us transcendence. Neil Peart gave us thought. Kate Bush gave us dreams. Together, they prove that rock could be not just entertainment, but literature in 4/4, or, 13/8. So next time you put on a prog record, don't just listen to the solos. Listen to those words, because that's where the real adventure begins, in my opinion. Now, if you've enjoyed this journey through the poetic side of prog, hit subscribe for me, if you will, to find out more deep dives into the weird and wonderful and totally over-the-top world of prog rock, which is what this channel specialises in. Check out the description for more information on the albums and also some more about the channel itself and ways you can help. Now, I've put a link to a video I made a while back where some more of the wonderful Jon Anderson and his band Jethro Tull lyrics take centre stage. I'm sure it's going to be one that you will love too. Thanks for watching this video, and until next time, keep listening, keep exploring, and remember, in the world of prog, the journey never really ends.